Thanks for tuning in. I want to show you how to get the down payment for your rent-to-own house, even if you're flat broke. Now, if you followed some of our other trainings or you understand a little bit about the rent-to-own fundamentals, you know that when you rent-to-own a home, you need to typically come to the table with a sizable amount of what we call option payment, which is a money that you put down to secure your ability to have the rights to buy the home during or at the end of your lease term. That's how a rent-to-own works. You rent it for a period of time and then you purchase it. Well, in that process, these sellers are typically going to require you to put down a certain amount of money called an option payment, which gives you that right, and that amount will vary. Now, it could be as much as $20,000 or $30,000 depending on who you're working with. We work with a ton of investors who fall in the range of $5,000 to $10,000. We actually work with individuals to help them get into properties where they can usually come in with much, much lower than what the norm is. But the important thing is you're going to need to have that ability to have that option payment if you're going to move forward on a rent-to-own. So what do you do if you are flat broke and you don't have money today? So I'm going to give you 3 different ways that you can come up with that option payment. Now, depending on the amount that's required by your seller for that option payment, you could potentially use a credit card to get that cash out. Now, credit cards may have cash advance limits and things like that, but a credit card could be a great way to get the banks to kind of start financing your home ownership before you ever get into it. Now, I'm not saying this is the best option, but what you have to do is look at how much is the interest you're going to pay to borrow $5,000 on a credit card versus what are you going to gain by owning and starting building equity and appreciation in a property. And the chances are you're going to make a lot more money being on path to own a house than the interest that you're going to pay on that $5,000. And again, your goal would be to try to pay off that $5,000 as soon as you can. And remember, that $5,000 is also going to go towards your purchase price. So it's not like you're not going to get it back. When you buy the home, that should go to, if you structure it right, will go to the purchase of the property. So you're kind of putting that towards your down payment. So that's one way that you can do it. Now, the second way that you can maybe come up with that down payment is agree with the seller to have an increase in your monthly payments where a portion of that new increase, all of that new increase, is actually going towards that down payment. So, for example, let's say you were supposed to be paying $1,600 a month for your rent-to-own payment. Maybe now instead you agree to do $1,900, so you're paying $300 every month extra. Now, this property might normally only rent for $1,500. So we're paying $1,600 because you got the right to purchase it, but now you're adding another $300 a month, so that's $1,900, just so you can start building up that down payment. Now, for the seller, that's great because you've increased their cash flow. For you, the reason you might be able to do this is maybe you've always had the money, but you haven't been using your budget wisely. You haven't been saving your money to have the $5,000 up front. You have money coming in and you're spending it on things like going out on dinners and shows and travel and vacations and Starbucks every day, and you realize, shoot, if I cut out some of my dining budget, I could free up $300 a month extra to go into home ownership. So for some people, while some of you might say, wow, how are you going to come up with $300 more a month? It's actually, for many people, is easier than they think. You just have to break down your numbers and look for opportunities in your current budgeting to get you on path, so that way you have that $300. And after you've caught up on your down payment, you should continue that process of setting that money aside to go towards your home ownership. So it's a little bit of a lifestyle shift in the short run, so you can get into home ownership. So the question just becomes, how badly do you want to be in home ownership? So now I'm going to give you the third way that you could come up with your option payment. And this is a little bit more creative, but can work incredibly well and solve the problem immediately today. What you may be able to do is find somebody that you know that is willing to partner with you on the property that you're going to rent to own. And you give them part of the equity or gain in that property for them helping you. Let me explain that. Let's say that you were to pick up a property, and over the course of the next 5 years, you're going to earn $10,000 in appreciation on that home. So you're going to make $10,000 because you now have a property that you own. Maybe it's 15, maybe it's 20, whatever the number is, but let's just say 10,000. And let's say you need $3,000 in order to complete the picture, meaning give them enough what they're asking for. You have $2,000 saved, not all $5,000, but you need $3,000 more. You might have somebody in your network that's willing to partner with you and lend you the $3,000 with a partial ownership in your rights to purchase that home, in your rent to own. And they might make $5,000 back. Or if you need all $5,000, they might make $8,000 back. So again, you may not get all of the equity in the home, but who cares? You're into home ownership. You're starting to own it. You're in a place that you get to control, make your own, and buy it when timing's right. Now, there's a variety of different ways that you could structure those deals with those types of partners, but the goal here that I wanted to do was share with you the idea of thinking creatively. Believe it or not, there are people around you that may be willing and wanting to help because they have money laying around that's making them almost nothing sitting in the bank. If they can put it into an investment, help you, and maybe even double their return or get a 50% return, that could be very, very attractive for them. And that can help you solve your problem with coming up with your down payment. At this point, you might have decided that a rent-to-own is absolutely the right direction for you to at least consider. And if you had a problem with the down payment, we even just solved that for you as well. But now you might be wondering, what types of properties and houses can I actually rent to own? Well, the next video, we're going to break down how potentially almost any home for sale, and even some not for sale, can be a rent-to-own property for you. So if you're interested in that, check out that video. If you like the content that we've been sharing here on NextGen REI, don't forget to subscribe. So thanks for joining.